So hey everyone, I am Amar, and the reason you should watch this video is because today I'm going to discuss a very intriguing topic that has baffled philosophers, materialists, neuroscientists for decades, years, maybe centuries. And it is a very old problem, and it is also very fundamental to us as human beings. And this problem is the philosophical problem of other minds. So, you know for sure that you as a conscious being exist, but how can you be sure that others also have minds and they also exist within their subjective experience, knowing that you can never experience their consciousness through their body? You can only experience yourself and your own koala, as they say. Koala just means that your subjective experience. So how can you experience someone if you cannot experience someone else's consciousness and koala? Then how can you be confident that they exist? Now, this might sound a little bit weird and counterintuitive, and this idea gives rise to a philosophy called Solipsism. Now, Solipsism is the idea that it is only certain that your mind exists only, and everything else is just an imagination of your mind. Now, this is a very radical idea. It is literally saying that only I exist and everything else is just an imagination in my mind. It is very extreme, and I haven't found any philosopher who is fully supporting this view because of the extreme narrative this is presenting. Now there are so now I'm going to give you some counter arguments that are provided to solipsism. The first one is intersubjectivity. For there are some basic realities that they cannot be denied. For example, uh, let me give you an example. If you see a red colored car, you can say that it is a red colored car. And if another person comes and say it is a red colored car, then you both agreed on something objective, which means that you as a person and the other person as a person have their own subjective experiences, but it is different from an objective physical reality. And it is not the case that only you uh, that only the universe is just inside your mind. Other examples are the laws of physics. For example, if you agree on gravity, you agree that when you drop things, heavy things, they fall on the ground, and other people, almost everyone on the planet agrees on that. Then it means there is an objective reality that is separate from our mind, and it is just not limited to our mind. And also the problem with solipsism is its practical impossibility to implement. It is psychologically impossible that you cannot live your life thinking that the entire universe is just your imagination. You just can't do it, obviously. Now, we have talked about solipsism. Another uh, concept that is used to describe minds and prove that other minds exist is called behaviorism. Behaviorism literally says that forget inner experiences, just focus on the behavior of other people, and if it matches the behavior of a certain feeling or emotion, then it means they have mind. For example, if they are screaming and whining and crying, then it is a sign that they are internally feeling pain. You can just use their external behavior to deduce that they also have its subjective experiences and they are feeling pain. And for example, if they're feeling very happy, they are smiling, then from that behavior you can deduce that they have mind and feeling, because mind and feeling is what drives those behavior of feeling good and happy. Well, there are also some problems with behaviorism as well, uh, because sometimes you cannot just look at the behavior to perfectly pinpoint what the person is feeling like now. Some people try to hide their pain and try not to show it even though they are screaming inside of pain. Then you have the materialistic and neuroscientific explanation that the mind is just a brain and it is the physical processes that are going inside the brain, the flow of charges and all the chemical reaction going inside the brain gives rise to consciousness, and they describe consciousness as an emergent property. But if you look closely, you will feel a gap. How does physical processes gives rise to a metaphysical process, that is your brain? How does the physical process of just flowing charges in your neurons give rise to this metaphysical feature of consciousness and feeling? How does the flow of charges makes feeling? How is it even possible? And if you think about it and look at it deeply, then you will see that there is a gap, and the existence of this gap leaves a lot of people unconvinced by the materialist explanation of neuroscience, that mind is just the brain, and they think that there might be a better alternative to consciousness. It is so hard to pinpoint consciousness, even though it is so fundamental to our existence, that this problem is known as the hard problem of consciousness, because we just can't find a solution. Well, there are also some other interesting theories for consciousness, like panpsychism. I think that I spelled it correctly, which posits that everything in the universe has some order of consciousness. And for example, even atoms have some level of consciousness, but that is proto consciousness, and it is so dilute that it cannot manifest as well as human consciousness. And the human brain is just like a lens, that it directs all of this consciousness perfectly, that when it goes through a lens, it emerges as human consciousness. Now these ideas are insane, but how can we prove panpsychism? It is not completely disregarded, and some people are considering it, if, uh, keeping in mind how the advances in quantum mechanics has really baffled us by helping us knowing how strange reality is at the most fundamental level. Like concepts like quantum entanglement shouldn't make any sense, it shouldn't exist, but it exists. So this is why most of intellectuals and scientists and philosophers are not outrightly rejecting theories such as panpsychism. Now we have another interesting theory known as morphic reasoning. Now this is a theory presented by Rupert Sheldrake, and it is very interesting. He is a smart guy, but his theory, I would say it is, I was a little bit mind blown when I heard this theory. He presents this theory as the universe itself is consists of a collective memory, and our brain does not produce things. It catches signals and translates them into our conscious experience. It isn't creating things, it is fundamentally connected to the universe, and when the information flows, it catches it and then processes it. Uh, it like a TV record, like a TV. The TV doesn't produce anything itself. It catches signals from outside, and then when it catches signals, then it produces it. Now, these were some mind-blowing theories, and I hope you learned something new and you like the video. See you in the next one.